right? So if you had a quadratic and it's not equal to 0, then you would have to make it equal to 0. So for example, like if I just had the quadratic written as, let's say, x squared minus 5x is equal to -6. Well, I would have to rearrange the quadratic and bring -6 to the left-hand side so that the right-hand side will just be equal to 0 before I could solve this quadratic, right? So what I'll do is I'll say x squared minus 5x. Now this is -6, so when you move a minus from one side of the equation to the other side of the equation, it becomes a plus. So this would be x squared minus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0. And only now you can go ahead and solve that quadratic. It must be equal to 0, right? So I'm going to use the factorization as well as the quadratic formula to show you that you get the same answer regardless of which strategy you use. However, in your test, they will tell you, I'm pretty sure they'll tell you, solve this using the quadratic formula or by factorization or whatever at this level. For CSEC, it depends, right? You can solve it however you want, unless specifically stated in the question to solve it using a particular method. You can choose whichever method you want, right? So as we know, with factorization, you're going to end up with two brackets. You're going to have x in one bracket and x in the other bracket. Because the coefficient of x squared here is 1, I know that it's going to be x in one bracket and x in the other bracket. And I don't have to go through the whole long what is AC and what are the factors of AC and all of that, because it's just, I'm just going to be working with what are the factors of 6 that would multiply to give me 6 and at the same time add or subtract to give me -5. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but I told you before, once C in the equation is positive and B is negative, the two factors are always going to be negative, right? So 6, the two factors of 6 that would add or subtract to give me -5 and at the same time multiply to give me +6 will be -2 and -3, because -2 times -3 will give me +6 and -2 take away 3 gives me -5. All right, so once you reach here, you'll say this is equal to 0. And therefore, remember, brackets means multiplication. So this line literally means x minus 2 times x minus 3 is equal to 0. And as you would remember, to get 0 when you're multiplying, one of the numbers have to be equal to 0. We don't know which one. So that's why we say, from here, we say x minus 2 is equal to 0, or x minus 3 is equal to 0. And then you just solve algebraically, right? So remember, if x minus 2 is equal to 0, well, x has to be 2. Or you could just move -2 to the other side, and since it's minus, it'll become plus. 0 plus 2 is 2. Similarly, x minus 3 is equal to 0. That means x is equal to 3. And those are your two solutions to the quadratic. Now let's use the quadratic formula for the same equation to solve and see that you get the same thing, right? So to just recall the formula, and by the way, in CSEC, you get the formula. You don't need to memorize it, right? So this would be x is equal to minus b. Sorry, I just want to write that over. Yeah, minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. All right, so let's substitute our values in there. X is equal to, well, minus b. In this case, b is -5, okay? That minus is part of the equation. So you do not, or part of the formula, you do not get rid of it. And you don't like just use it as the minus in front of the 5. You actually have to substitute the full -5 in there, because that's what b is equal to in this quadratic. B is -5. So it will be minus -5 plus or minus the square root of -5 squared minus 4 times a. A in this quadratic is 1, and c is positive 6. All right, and all of that is to be divided by 2 times A. Now, I saw with some of your work, y'all didn't write it out completely like this. Please write it out exactly like this when you are writing your solution. All right. So then this will be x is equal to, well, minus by a negative would be a positive. So this whole thing will just become 5. And then you have plus or minus the square root of negative 5 squared is 25. And 4 times 1 is 4 times 6 is 24. All of that over 2 times 1 is just 2. So then you'll have x is equal to 5 plus or minus the square root of 25 minus 24 is 1 all over 2. Notice that I'm not like just not writing the all over 2. You need to write it. You need every line. You're going to write the exact same thing except for the parts that you're working out or simplifying. Right? So then finally your answer will be x is equal to 5 plus, now the square root of 1 is 1, so it'll be 5 plus 1 divided by 2, or 5 take away 1 divided by 2. 5 plus 1 is equal to 6, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. And then 5 take away 1 is 4, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. And that's how you write your solution, girls, right? So don't, now is the time to start to write your solutions properly. Like you would have, you would have let it slide, or your examiners, your teachers would have let it slide from like form 1 to 3, but for CSAT, you need to write your solutions properly. So please don't skip out any part of the formula, any part of the equation, when you're writing your solution, okay? Girls, is that okay? Give me a vibe check. Ari, follow it? Yeah,
Yeah.
Kaylin, Athena,
Yep.
good. Jenny,
Yeah.
all right. Isabel, is that okay, honey?
Yes, Miss.
All right. You let me know if it's not okay. These girls just let me know when it's not. Believe me. All right. Nia, how are we going there?
Totally. Totally.
What? Nia,
Totally.
are you in the drama club, Nia?
No, Miss. I don't do drama, Miss. The amount
I
of
feel
times
like
I
I
feel
feel like
drama.
you should be in the drama club.
Miss, drama. I feel drama so much times. The amount of times I never get testimonial because of drama. Miss, we don't go there. That's drama.
True. That's
Miss.
crazy.
A
You?
teacher, I'm telling you, Miss, that teacher.
Hey,
Exactly.
don't say anything. Next thing she watch the video and she hear you bad talking. I don't know why a drama teacher would be watching my math video on quadratics, but you never know, right?
My daughter in our school, you never know. She had to do maths. She had to learn maths.
Exactly. And she'll hear Nia, the activist, saying things. All
Hey,
right, let's
Miss, because I made that email when I was 12. Free, ma.
Oh Lord. Okay, guys, let's check out one where the coefficient of x squared is not 1. So let's say we have 4x squared take away 7x plus 3, and that is equal to 0. So we're going to factorize it and we're going to use the quadratic formula, right? Now remember, with factorizing, you got to check what is A, B, and C, right? So A here is 4, the coefficient of x squared. B is negative 7, and C is 3, right? So AC will be equal to 4 times 3, which is 12. And now remember, we were practicing listing the factors of AC in pairs so that it's just easier to choose which one will add or subtract to give me negative 7. So I'm going to list the factors of 12 in pairs. So the pairs will be 1 and 12, right? 2 and 6, and then 3 and 4. So which of these 3 pairs here could give me negative 7? Ladies, which of these could give me negative 7? 1 and 12, 2 and 6, or 3 and 4?
3 and 4.
3 and 4. And then what about the signs, Ari?
Negative.
Yeah, they both will be negative, right? Guys, once AC is positive, but B is negative, the two factors have to be negative. The reason is you're going to have to get a negative number there. So it has to be some kind of subtraction. But to multiply and get a positive, both of them would have to be negative. So it's negative 3 and 4. So I'm going to rewrite the equation, replacing 7 minus 7x with negative 3 and negative 4. So negative 7x is the same as saying minus, I'm going to put 4 first since it's just going to factorize easier. So minus 4x minus 3x, that's what minus 7x is if I expand it basically, or if I write it as the sum. Well, already the difference. And then plus 3 is equal to 0. And now you factorize by grouping. So between 4x squared and 4x, you have the common factor 4x. 4x into 4x squared is x. 4x times x is x squared. And then 4x into minus 4x is minus 1. 4x times minus 1 gives me minus 4x. Bringing down this minus sign here. 3 is common between 3x and 3, so I'm going to put that on the outside. And 3 could go into, well, minus 3 could go into minus 3x, x times, and minus 3 into plus 3 will be minus 1, right? And always just check it back. Minus 3 times x will give me minus 3x, and minus 3 times minus 1 gives me plus 3. All of that is equal to 0. We have our repeated factor, x minus 1. Into this whole thing would leave me with 4x. Into the second pair would just leave me with minus 3. And there you go, right? So now we equate each of the brackets to 0. So x minus 1 is equal to 0, or 4x minus 3 is equal to 0. Therefore, x would be equal to 0 plus 1, which is 1. And then you check that back to make sure it works right. Because if x is 1, then 1 minus 1 will give you 0. Now, for 4x minus 3 is equal to 0, I'm going to do a small algebra here. 4x is equal to 0 plus 3, which will be 3. And therefore, x will be equal to 3 divided by 4. So for this one, x is equal to 1 or x is equal to 3/4. Is that okay, girls?
No, I
Ladies?
forgot at the end.
Where? Tell me where.
Um, the line for x bracket x take away 1, closing bracket negative 3, open bracket x. Basically the third line.
Over here?
Yeah.
Okay, so I factorized by grouping. You want to know how I got this? How I got this line?
Like
Is that?
I
Mhm.
know how to do it, but like my brain, I haven't like I feel like I haven't done math in so long.
Okay, so when you factorize by grouping, you're going to factorize the first two terms. So you're going to factorize the 4x squared and the 4x, and then 3x and 3. That's what you're factorizing. So remember, to factorize, you look at the two terms and you see, well, what do they have in common? So what 4x squared and 4x RE, what do they have in common?
They both have 4.
They both have 4. And what about the x squared part? X squared and x. What's common there?
X.
X, right? So therefore, the full factor, the term that could go into both 4x squared and 4x would be 4x. And then you ask yourself, well, 4x can go into 4x squared x times because 4x times x gives you 4x squared. And then 4x could go into minus 4x minus 1 time. Again, because 4x times minus 1 gives me minus 4x. And I did the exact same for 3x and 3. I saw that they had 3 in common, which means it's a common factor. So then I take the 3 out, that common factor. I use the sign. I bring down this minus sign. And I say minus 3 into minus 3x will be x because minus 3 times x gives me minus 3x. And then minus 3 into 3 will be minus 1. And then you check it back to see if it works out. Minus 3 times minus 1 is 3. So do one with me here quickly. before we move on. I'm also just going to send you the video on factorizing by grouping because you're actually a boss with this, so I'm quite confused that that this is confusing you. Like you
Me
are
too.
the champion with this factorizing by grouping. Not so?
I do like it.
Like you're forgetting who you are or what? All right, let's do one together, right? Let's say I have 5x squared plus 10x plus 2x plus 6. No, not 2x plus 6, sorry. Plus 3x plus 9. All right, Ari, show me here. Good. Factorize this by grouping for me. The first two terms, 5x squared plus 10x, and then 3x plus 9.
Okay.
You have to say it to me.
Oh.
So
5
5x squared, uh-huh.
5x squared.
What is the common factor between 5x squared and 10x?
Uh,
Ari,
yeah.
what is the common factor between 5x squared and 10x?
I I can't remember.
Honey, 5 and 10. What number could go into both 5 and 10 without leaving a remainder?
2.
No, 2 cannot go into 5. It has to be 5, not so? Can't 5 go into 10?
Yeah.
So then the common factor here would be 5, and then between x squared and x has to be x. Okay, tell me what goes in the brackets then.
2 would go in the brackets.
What for the first term, 5x into 5x squared will be what?
X. It'll be x in the
X,
brackets plus 2.
right? And then I bring down this plus sign. What about 3x and 9? What's the common factor there?
3.
And then what goes in the brackets?
X will go in the bracket and then 3 will go in the bracket.
So what? Tell me the full term.
So x plus 3.
3. Perfect. Well, I made a mistake with this one because I just made it up on the spot. But generally, like what the number that should have gone here would have been 6, because then you would get this repeated factor here. 3 into 6 would give you 2, right? And then that would be x plus 2 by 5x plus 3. Ari, I think you just have to revise it, honey, because I know you know this very well.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, good. So let us now substitute the values into the quadratic formula to see if we get the same answer as 1 3/4. All right. So the quadratic formula, just to refresh your memory, is x is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, so let's substitute our values in there. B in this case is -7. So you're going to keep this minus sign because it's part of the quadratic. And that is a part that gives students a lot of trouble because it's minus B and B is already -7. Lots of students will just write -7 like that. But that is incorrect because this minus sign is part of the original formula. So you need to substitute the full B, the full term for B, which is -7, right? And then plus or minus the square root of B squared. Again, B is -7 squared minus 4 times A, which in this case is 4 by C, sorry, which is 3. All of that divided by 2 times A, which is 4. All right. So now let's simplify. And like I said, every line needs to be complete. You do not just like leave out piece of the formula and then like work out something right there. That's not gonna cut it, okay? You gotta work out you gotta write your solution fully. If you're doing extra work and do it somewhere on the side, but not in this area over here. This area is just line to line. You have to be able to read your solution line to line. So negative minus -7 will just be 7 plus or minus the square root of, well, -7 squared is 49 minus 4 times 4. Well, before I think about the minus sign, 4 times 4 is 16, and 16 times 3 is 48. So the minus 48 all over 2 times 4, which is 8. Right? So then, guys, do you all know why it's plus or minus before the square root sign? Anybody knows why it's plus or minus? Anybody? Nobody knows why it's plus or minus in front of the square root sign?
Is it because the numbers, depending on the sign that is in front of the number, like 7, where the 7 is dependent on the sign, it changes?
No. Athena, you know it? You know why it's plus or minus in front of a square root?
No, miss, I'm not sure about that one.
Okay. Guys, the reason it's plus or minus in front of a square root is because the square root of any number could be either positive or negative, right? So the square root of a number is a number when multiplied by itself that would give you that one. So for example, the square root of 4 is 2, right? Because 2 times 2 is 4. But the square root of 4 could also be -2 because -2 times -2 is +4. So the square root of any number will always be positive or negative. So that's why we write plus or minus in front of the square root sign, right? Because it's either using the positive square root of whatever is inside there or the negative square root of whatever is inside there. So that's where we got that from in the formula. We don't really introduce it before this. So students are often just like, where is this plus or minus coming from? But that's where it comes from, right? It comes from the fact that the square root of any number can be either positive or negative. Okay, so let's simplify. So this will be 7 plus or minus the root of 49 take away 48 is 1 all over 8. So now we'll say x is equal to 7 plus 1 because the positive square root of 1 is 1, all divided by 8, or x is equal to 7 take away 1, all right, over 8. So this would be 7 plus 1 is 8, and 8 over 8 is 1, or, well, 7 minus 1 is 6 over 8. And when you reduce this, 3 into 6 is, 2 into 6 is 3, and 2 into 8 is 4. So you see, you get the same answer, ladies. I want everyone now to try one for me. You're going to factorize it. Well, you're going to factorize it, and you're going to use the quadratic formula. All right. So I'm going to write it here, and I want you to send it to me on WhatsApp as we usually do. Okay. And then we'll take a short break. So everyone try one for me. Try. One moment. Hold on. X squared. Okay, girls, try that for me, please. You're going to factorize it, and you're going to use the quadratic formula. And I'm waiting to see it on WhatsApp because I want to see how you're writing your solution. Isabel, you might have to use your mommy's phone to send it to me.
I got your number, miss.
Oh, okay, quick, great. Well, just send it to me, honey.
Okay.
Right. So, right, Zafi. So, what are the factors of 10?
1 and 10,
Yeah,
5 and 2,
5 and 2. Those are all. So which of those two pairs could give me 7?
5 and 2.
5 and 2, but it has to be -7, right? So both
Yeah,
of them would have to be negative because
yeah,
-5 take away 2 will give you -7, and then -5 times -2 will give you +10. Cool?
yeah.
So
Okay,
in
yeah,
the brackets here, you'll have -5 and -2. Is that okay?
yeah.
Good. So then x minus 5 is equal to 0, or x minus 2 is equal to 0.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, x would be equal to 0 plus 5, which is 5, or x would be equal to 0 plus 2, which is 2. Do you know why I'm saying plus 2 and plus 5?
Because they aren't negative.
Well, because if I'm solving an equation, x minus 5 is equal to 0, and I want to figure out what is x. Well, from looking at this, I could tell what x is, not so?
Yeah,
Because x take some number, x take away 5 gives me 0. What number?
5.
Right?
Positive.
Correct. That's why it's +5. Or you could think about it like algebraically, where you transpose, meaning you move a term from one side to the other side. So you keep x on this side because you want to get x is equal to something, and you're going to move -5 to the other side of the equation. What
Mm,
happens when you move a term from one side to the other side?
The sign goes to the opposite of.
Correct. So because this is minus, when you move it to the other side, it will be plus. 0 plus 5 is 5. And similarly, that's the same thing that I did for x minus 2. Is that okay?
Yeah,
You sure?
yeah.
Okay. Jenny, this is how you need to write it, honey.
Okay.
All right, and now let's do the quadratic formula, right? So Zafi, stay with me. So the quadratic formula is x is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root
Mm-hmm.
of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. So what I'm going to do here is substitute all my values, B, A, and C, into the expression, into the formula, right? So that would mean that x is equal to, well, minus, what is B?
Um, 7, -7.
-7. So it will be minus -7, right? Because you need to keep that minus sign, right? And then
Yeah,
it's this plus or minus the square root of B squared. So again, B is what?
-7
Right? So it'll be -7
squared.
squared. Take away 4 times A. What is A?
1,
1. And then what is C?
10.
10. Right? And all of that is being divided by 2 times A. A is what?
1.
1. All right. And now we simplify. So let's make this simpler by working out what we can work out so far. So a minus by a minus gives me a what?
A plus.
A plus. So this will just be 7 plus or minus the square root of what's -7 squared?
40, 49.
Yes. And then 4 times 1 times 10 will give me what?
Say
40?
that back. Q.
Yes. 40, right? 4 times
Oh,
1 is 4,
yeah.
and 4 times 10 is 40. So this will be minus 40. Cool?
Yeah.
All right. And all of that is over. What's 2 times 1?
2.
2. Cool. So now
Yeah.
we simplify again. So we still have 7 plus or minus because we're not doing anything there as yet. 49 take away 40 is 9. All of
Yeah.
that over 2. All right. So now you can split it up. So it'll be 7 plus, what is the square root of 9? 3.
3.
Yes. So it'll be 7 plus 3 divided by 2, or 7 take away 3 divided by 2. So 7 plus 3 is 10, right? 10 over 2. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. Or 7 take away 3 is 4 over 2. And 4 divided by 2 is
2.
2. Is that okay, love?
Yeah.
Were you able to follow all of these steps with me?
Yeah.
No.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Excuse
Well,
me.
I'm gonna send you some for homework, huh? I want to see it.
Excuse me,
Okay.
miss.
Yes, love.
Will it not only miss why is not -5?
How would it be -5, honey? It's 7
Because
plus 3.
I don't know. All I remember is that when we was factorizing it, if it had a minus sign, it would be positive, and if it had a positive, it would be negative.
Yeah, so it's x equals 5 or x is equal to 2 because this is x minus 5 is equal. You put the entire brackets equal to 0. So if x take away 5 is equal to 0 near, x has to be 5 because if x is -5, that would mean -5 take away 5, which is -10.
Okay, totally, totally.
Right. Let's see. Oh, Isabel, did you see your error, love?
Yes, miss.
You forgot to square it. But
Yeah.
But good job with writing out your stuff. The solutions are written very, very clearly. So that's just the error right there, the square root.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Right. Aha. Nia, in your question,
In
did
factorizing.
did you see you put +5 instead of -5?
Yeah, I noticed
That's the
that.
error. Yeah. So that's the error there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Good job, guys. Thank you. Ladies, let's take a short break until 5. I'm waiting to see the rest of your work though. If you didn't send it, please send it. I just want to see your solution. Even if you got